get into the indictment that was unsealed late this morning, I would like to take a moment to introduce a few of my colleagues. I'm pleased and honored to introduce to you the Superintendent of the Oregon State Police, Travis Hampton, to my far right, Deschutes County Sheriff Shane Nelson, to my immediate right. To my left is Mike Tompkins from the Office of Inspector General. He's the Special Agent in charge. And U.S. Attorney's Office Criminal Chief Pam Holsinger. In March of 2016, at a press conference in Bend, I announced that our office had begun a joint investigation with the Office of Inspector General into alleged actions of FBI hostage rescue team members assigned to the armed occupation of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. Today we unsealed charges against FBI Special Agent Joseph Astorita, a member of the FBI's hostage rescue team, or HRT for short, based in Quantico, Virginia. Special Agent Astorita was one of a number of FBI agents assigned to the occupation tasked with attempting to apprehend certain members and leaders of the occupation, including Robert LaVoy Finicum, on January 26, 2016 in Kearney County, Oregon. As you know, Mr. Finicum fled the scene of a traffic stop at a high rate of speed and was pursued by members of the FBI's HRT and the Oregon State Police. In an attempt to evade a roadblock set up by the FBI and OSP, Mr. Finicum drove off the road and into a snowbank, nearly running over an FBI HRT member. After failing to follow multiple commands to put up his hands, Mr. Finicum was shot by OSP officers while attempting to reach for a firearm inside his jacket. Special Agent Astorita was present during the shooting of Mr. Finicum. The Deschutes County Major Incident Team, assisted by OSP detectives, led the investigation of the officer-involved shooting. Special Agent Astorita is being charged with 3 counts of knowingly and willfully making false statements to FBI supervisory special agents, knowing that the statements were false and material to the FBI's decision not to investigate the propriety of the agent-involved shooting. Specifically, Special Agent Astorita falsely stated he did not fire his weapon during the attempted arrest of Mr. Finicum, when in fact he did. Special Agent Astorita also faces 2 counts of obstruction of justice for knowingly engaging in misleading conduct towards OSP officers by failing to disclose that he had fired 2 rounds during the attempted arrest. I would ask that media outlets choosing to report on this case take note of 2 key facts. The first is that an indictment is only an accusation of a crime, and Special Agent Astorita is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. The second is that Special Agent Astorita's alleged actions that led to this investigation and indictment do not in any way call into question the findings of the Major Incident Team's investigation of OSP's use of deadly force. OSP's actions were justified and necessary in protecting officer safety. I would like to now introduce my colleague, Deschutes County Sheriff Shane Nelson.
Good afternoon. I'm Shane Nelson, Deschutes County Sheriff. My office has been the lead investigative agency on the LaVoy Finicum shooting from the beginning. In conducting the investigation and going where the evidence led, investigators from our office discovered the actions of the defendant and the subsequent concerning actions of some members of the FBI Hostage Rescue Team, or HRT. This type of behavior stands in stark contrast to the professionalism and integrity displayed by the Oregon State Police and Superintendent Travis Hampton. The actions of the FBI HRT in this case damaged the integrity of the entire law enforcement profession, which makes me both disappointed and angry. I want to take the time to point out that this troubling conduct is in no way indicative of the great partnership my office has historically enjoyed with our local FBI office and Special Agent in Charge, James J.B. Bentz. Over a year ago, Deschutes County Sheriff's investigators and I flew to FBI headquarters in Washington to brief then FBI Deputy Director, now Acting Director, Andrew McCabe, and other FBI and Department of Justice officials on the results of our investigation. We informed them we found possible criminal conduct by some involved FBI HRT agents. I was disappointed when I recently heard FBI HRT agents associated with this case were not placed on administrative leave after the briefing by our investigators to FBI administration. Today's indictment will ensure that the defendant and hopefully any other culpable FBI HRT members will be held accountable through the justice process. I would especially like to thank the U.S. Inspector General Michael Horowitz and his investigators. They have been great partners in tirelessly searching for the facts in this case. In addition to the criminal justice process, his office will be conducting a thorough administrative review to identify any areas of improvement that will help eliminate mistakes made by the FBI in the future and increase transparency for federal law enforcement. There is a phrase from a Roman poet which translates to "who will guard the guards." I'm proud and encouraged that Inspector General Horowitz's office will do just that. We could never have come to this day without the fearlessness of the U.S. Attorney Bill Williams and the partnership and hard work of his prosecution team. His office was exacting in detail and refused any hurried timeline. Simply put, they took their time and got it right. As the U.S. Attorney said, these are allegations and those are innocent until proven guilty. As always, it has been an honor to work with Mr. Williams. Thank you. Finally, I would like to thank my teammates in the Deschutes County Sheriff's Office and other partner agencies in our major incident team for their tireless work, scrupulous honesty, investigative skills, and dedication to duty. The residents of Deschutes County and the state of Oregon have every right to be proud of their service. Thank you.
To reintroduce OSP Superintendent Travis Hampton.
Good afternoon. My name is Travis Hampton. I'm the Superintendent of Oregon State Police. I just have a few additional comments to make. I would first like to offer my appreciation to the Deschutes County Sheriff Shane Nelson and his talented team in Deschutes County. Without his leadership and professional investigation by the dedicated men and women of the Sheriff's Office working alongside talented scientists from the Oregon State Police Forensics Division, this alleged conduct would likely have never been brought to light. I'd also like to thank the U.S. Attorney's Office for its leadership in this investigation, including the expectation of accountability it has set. So thank you. I appreciate your professionalism and commitment to the truth. I will not speak to the alleged conduct specifically because I believe it has been sufficiently outlined by the U.S. Attorney's Office. I will only say this, that it is deeply disappointing and am discouraged by the prospect that our association with the state police with this allegation may diminish our reputation for the good work of the state troopers during the event. Oregon's public safety response to the occupation of the refuge encompassed scores of dedicated officers from around the state representing the Oregon sheriffs, city police departments, tribal governments, federal law enforcement, and hundreds of Oregon State Police troopers. Collectively, these officers were focused on bringing the standoff to a safe conclusion while protecting Oregon citizens, our natural resources, and all of those involved in the refuge occupation. My final comments are directly related to the FBI. I just want to make clear I do not represent the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and I certainly do not speak for them. However, the alleged actions of the defendant are not representative of the professionalism of the FBI, in my opinion, or in general, the good work accomplished by hundreds of FBI employees who worked the event alongside city, state, and local law enforcement. and this will not adversely impact the strong and long-standing relationship the FBI has built with Oregon's local law enforcement community. Thank you for your time.
And we'll take a few questions.
Bill, I gotta ask, is he on paid administrative leave at this point?
You know, you'll have to ask the FBI.
Are other HR team members still under investigation or facing possible indictment?
You know, I can't comment on that. I can't confirm or deny ongoing investigations.
How long has he served with the FBI?
I don't know.
His age?
I don't know that.
Could you explain how you determined that this agent was the one who fired the shots of the hostage rescue team that was present?
Well, just through the investigation, as Sheriff Nelson's outlined the work that they did.
Sheriff Nelson, it's been a year and a half since that press conference back in Bend, but could you refresh our memories about the timeline of was LaVoy at what point was he out of the truck when the shots are fired, or still in the truck, or?
So I'll tell you what, I'd have to get back to you on that because I don't want to speak about anything that would be inaccurate. But if you leave me your contact information, we can get that for you.
I think there was an early report that there were shell casings seen on the ground by OSP, and then they were not there when the investigators arrived. Is that accurate?
Well, I'm not going to talk about the details of that investigation, but if you have specific questions about it, we'll be more than happy to get your contact information. I can follow up with those.
Was that shot the one?
Sorry?
Was one of those shots the one that went into the roof of Finicum's truck?
I can answer that. One of the gunshots in the roof of Finicum's pickup was one of the unaccounted for rounds.
And one of the first ones when he drove up on the scene?
That was one of the first shots as the investigation progressed. That's what we determined.
Sheriff, can you speak to whether that shot came after LaVoy Finicum exited the pickup truck or while he was still inside?
I will double check that for you because it's been a while since that last press conference, but if you leave me your contact information, I believe it was right when he was outside of the pickup.
I have a question about from supporters of Finicum. They're asking why Astorita wasn't charged with conspiracy to impede a federal investigation or attempted murder, more serious charges.
Well, I know there may be lots of questions that are posed by individuals associated with Mr. Finicum. The charges assessed by the grand jury were those that are borne out by the evidence.
Can you say whether the 4 other HR team members who were at the scene that day are still working with the HR team?
You know, you'll have to check with the FBI.
Ryan Bundy was injured in the shooting on his arm. Was one of those shots, was the head injury linked to either of the shots made?
You know, that's evidence that will come out in court.
Here's a big question. Why did he lie?
Well, I suspect that question will be answered in court.
Sheriff, can you say if your office is still involved in investigations regarding other HR team members?
Our office is still involved in this investigation, and we consider it an ongoing investigation.
Just to further that, remember this was a joint investigation involving Sheriff Nelson's team, Special Agent in Charge Tompkins' team from the Office of Inspector General and the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Billy, the maximum charges or maximum penalty on false statement and obstruction of
Yeah,
justice.
false statement, the maximum is up to 5 years, and for obstruction, it's up to 20 years. Both of those would also include the potential for a fine.
Can the Inspector General say whether you're still investigating this case?
Well, I think we've answered the question. We're a team investigating any other related conduct. Again, we can't deny or affirm that there's additional investigation going on. We don't comment on matters related to that.
But we've heard the sheriff say he's frustrated that the other team members weren't at least put on administrative leave. And in the hopes of transparency, I would hope somebody could let us know what's the status.
So the reason I made that mention is because I have expectations personally, just from local law enforcement's perspective, so that's my opinion, and I'm disappointed by that. But in explanation of the ongoing investigation, our office is conducting a parallel investigation with the Office of the Inspector General, and so we won't speak about some details of that case because we don't want to jeopardize the case or the integrity of the case.
But surely just the employment status wouldn't affect the case at all, I wouldn't think.
Well, but I'm not the FBI director, and so my opinions are based on my own experiences as a citizen and a local county sheriff.
This is probably for anybody. Can somebody speak to what this might mean for potentially going back and looking at for the justification of the shooting? In this case, does it change the timeline? Does it change the facts?
No, it doesn't. You're talking about the facts of the shooting of Mr. Finicum. It does not change the quality or the outcome of the investigation. So no.
Is this the first time an HRT member's been indicted?
You know, Pat, I don't know. Any other questions?
Can you say where they were when the shot was fired?
You know, that'll come out in court.
Can you tell us how long this agent was worked for the FBI or was on the HRT unit?
Yeah, I think that was asked a moment ago, and I don't know the answer to that question.
Was this the officer who almost got hit?
No.
When did the grand jury
I'm sorry.
when did the grand jury hear the
Throughout the past 18 months.
Are they
Sure.
still seated?
I'm sorry.
Is the grand jury still seated?
Their term is ended.
Sheriff Nelson, your investigation, I noted in here that it said that Strada was following LaVoy as he fled in the pickup. Were they mobile at that time, or were they stationed near where the pickup encountered the roadblock?
So I'm sorry, who was following?
I noted in the indictment that it said they were following, the officers that were involved in this HRT team were following LaVoy's pickup. Were they stationed or were they in a vehicle following LaVoy?
I'll have to defer to somebody else who could better answer that question, but I do want to point out one thing is I would recommend you refer back to the prior press conference that we did. It might have some of the specific answers to some of your questions.
And with this agent, did he have to surrender his gun and badge?
You'd have to check with the FBI. All right. Thanks very much for coming.
Sure.
No, actually, I can't give you that one. Do you have that business card?
So that like we would not get any.
Hey, John. Citizens of America.
That's like a ping pong. Wow.
You too. It's going well. Interview with Ryan this summer. So yeah, back and forth. You're not in South Boston anymore, right? What do you do?
I think he knows a lot more than